Good morning, everyone. Just before I went to bed, as well as some stuff I've seen this morning, has really angered me, quite frankly. And I mean, really angered me. Because if anybody's paid attention to the wankers in the houses of treachery, I mean Parliament, or maybe I was right first time, it turns out that the Chancellor of the Exchequer, right now, wants to spend £1 million, or let me rephrase that, is spending £1 million of our taxpayers' money to build a Muslim war memorial. That's right, they want to build another Muslim war memorial to remember those who died in the world wars. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't Turkey an ally of the Axis forces? Are those the war debt they're talking about? Or maybe the select handful who fought in the Ottoman Wars? Or maybe the very small minority of Muslims that fought for the Allied forces in the war? What about the people who were white? What about the regular people who fought in world wars and they died? No memorial for them? Or what about Lee Rigby, the guy who was killed by an Islamic extremist? No memorial for him? This is why people hate you right now, Tories. You all forget that it is mainly old Whitey here, for the most part, who contributed into these wars. Mostly white people. And after that, second most would mostly be blacks, I would say, more than anything. And I think the Sikhs actually helped us out more than the Muslims did. Where's their memorial? Oh, that's right. They're not important, are they? Not the populational majority in the country. They're not important. And I know you'll label some people as far right, but let me tell you something. They also made up probably the vast majority of the people who fought in those wars as well. Let me tell you something. And this is not going to appease to the Muslims. Let me tell you. 90% of all the terror suspects on MI5's list, and there are 43,000 people at least on this list, by the way. Do you want to know what religion they are? That's right. Muslims. 90% of terror suspects on that list are Islamic terrorists or suspects. Do you want to make a memorial about them too? Here's the thing, you fucking pricks. What have they done that has been a genuine benefit to this country? I challenge you to bring up 3 things that they've done that has been to the benefit of this country. I dare you. And don't you dare use the excuses of, oh, they brought us multiculturalism and diversity. No, they have not. The vast majority of the Islamic people have brought nothing but death, hatred, and destruction. And I know there are people who are going to say, but what about the times you said there are good Muslims? But as I've said before and will say constantly, again and again, if the good Muslims do not expose the extremists, then there are no good Muslims, because they are complicit through omission. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this, because, say it with me folks, it doesn't suit the narrative. If this monument goes up, while I wouldn't condone it, it would be an awful tragedy if people went out of their way to destroy it. Because I don't remember how many Muslims fought in the war for us, but I do know that Turkey, as said, was an ally to Nazi Germany. Do you think they're going to remember that shit? Or do you think they're going to conveniently sweep it under the rug and pretend like that never happened? This memorial they're trying to build is a direct insult to each and every one of us. Where the fuck is the memorial for our war dead? The millions of people who died, the vast majority of them being white people. Where is it? Do you really think that we aren't important? Do you really think that white people did not contribute to the majority of this war? Or wars, I should say. And people might not like me saying that. They might think white supremacy and all that shit. Well, it's nothing to do with white supremacy, let me tell you. It's a matter of, just generally speaking, there are probably more than likely more white people than there are black people on this planet. That's just a fact. Of course, if you live somewhere in Africa, that's probably a very different story, but that's beside the point. The point is, the main people who fought in the war were white. Not Muslims, not Sikhs, not Hindus or Buddhists and all that shit. White people. Oh, but of course, if we build a white monument, people will get seriously pissed off. And Rodden Repairs will be telling me they're coming to do repairs. Anyway, they will get pissed off if there's even a slight monument to old Whitey here. But to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, remember who you serve. Us, the British people. Not the fucking, the silent minority, or the mob rule minority, I should say. That is the Islamic community. They do not represent anyone but themselves. They want to rule the world with a caliphate. They want to slay all the kafir. They want to violate innocent girls, whether they are of age or not. Just don't forget, 90% of these motherfuckers are Islamic terror suspects or terrorists on that terror list by MI5. And 84% of all grooming gang cases, all grooming gang crimes, have been committed by Pakistani Muslim gangs. And bear in mind, they only represent 7% of the Muslim population, though that might have gone up recently. But if that's what they're capable of at just 7% of the population, how do you think it's going to go if they reach 20%? Do you think that number's going to get any better? I fucking don't. I think that number's going to go through the roof. Just something to think about, Chancellor of the Exchequer. Or is it Traitor of the Exchequer? Do not build this war monument to the Muslim community, because you won't be helping anybody else in this crusade other than the Islamic community, who despise you anyway. And remember, we are the ones who supported you, who helped you in those wars when they came to invade our country. And we are the ones with the direct power to both vote you in and just as quickly kick you the fuck out. So do well to remember that. Because if you think about building this war monument, maybe we'll build a monument of humiliation to you and the traitors in the houses of treachery, to showcase to the world and showcase to those in the next generation just how incompetent, how useless, and how woke you wankers really are.